Chapter 32 of Exodus is where we are today, and we're given an account of a very tragic rebellion of the people of Israel. They have grumbled before, as we know, and have even threatened to take Moses' life, but now they are in a full-blown rebellion against God and a worshiping of false gods. This is an ugly scene. Moses is on the mountain. It says in verse 18 of chapter 31, Moses was given the 2 tablets of testimony. There he has the 10 commandments that were written by the finger of God, written by God himself. Moses heads down the mountain, and in the meanwhile, actually, while Moses is still on the mountain, in the meanwhile, the people of Israel confront Aaron, verse 1 of chapter 32, "Come make us a god who will go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." So they are now saying, "We don't know about this Moses. He's been gone a long time. Maybe he's never coming back. We need you to make us a god." And Aaron unbelievably complies. Apparently, as we look down later in the chapter, he does so out of fear, knowing this mob would probably kill him. And so we don't know. And by the way, Hur, who has been prominent earlier in this book, is no longer to be seen. Some traditions say that they murdered Hur, H-U-R, and maybe Aaron thought he was next. But anyway, he tells them to tear off the gold rings from their ears and so forth and give them to him, and he would fashion a golden calf, verse 4, for them. Where did they get this gold? Well, remember, they plundered the Egyptians earlier, and the Egyptians gave them all sorts of precious things. So they take these things, and Aaron makes a calf for them, and then he says, "This is your God, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." Wow. And then in verse 5, he builds an altar before it, and then declares the next day to be a feast to the Lord. In verse 6, they have that feast, and then the people sat down to eat and to drink and arose up to play. The word play has significance. It's not just having a good time. This was a riotous, godless party, drunkenness, immorality, and all that went with it. And that's what the people would turn to virtually overnight as Moses is gone. At that point, the Lord says to Moses, as he's now given him the 10 commandments, "Go down at once," verse 7, for your people, whom you have brought up out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves." And then he tells them what is going on. And then he offers, verse 9, these are obstinate people, and they were. And he says to Moses, "Let me alone, that my anger may burn against them, and they might destroy them, and I'll make of you a great nation." So God offers to wipe out these people and start over again. This time with Moses. But Moses begs in verse 11 for that not to happen, and he says that for a number of reasons he does not want the Lord to actually destroy these people and start over. He actually gives them three reasons here as he talks to God. Number one, these are your people. Now Moses kind of turned it on the Lord. In verse 7, the Lord says, "These are your people you brought up from the land of Egypt." Moses says, "Oh, wait a minute. These are your people that you brought up from the land of Egypt." So he reminds the Lord that these are his people. These are not just any people. There's a chosen by God himself to be his people. And then secondly, his honor is at stake. He says, verse 12, "Why would the Egyptians speak, saying, would evil intent be brought on them to kill them in the mountains, to destroy them from the face of the earth? Turn from your burning anger and change your mind about doing harm to your people." So your honor's at stake. If the Egyptians hear that you have destroyed the people of Israel, then they will simply say, "This God of the Yahweh, whoever he is, not only devastated Egypt, but he took these people into the wilderness to kill them." That's not very honorable, Moses doesn't think. And then thirdly, remember your covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants to whom you swore by yourself and said to them, "I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven, and all this land which I have spoken I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever." So he's saying to him, "Look, Lord, you made a promise, you made a covenant to the patriarchs, and I plead with you on the basis of your covenant with them not to destroy these people." Now, of course, God could have destroyed them and started over with Moses and not reneged on his covenant with the patriarchs, but that was Moses' argument. And so we find in verse 14 the Lord changed his mind about the harm that he would do to this people. That doesn't mean that God changes his mind like we do. I think this is accommodating our understanding of how God works, but God himself never would change his mind like we change our mind. But he did answer the prayer that Moses gave him, and therefore did not destroy these people. And so Moses and Joshua now head down from the mountain, and Joshua thinks there's a sound of war, verse 17, in the camp, or something else, and what we hear is not a sound of war, but a sound of singing. Moses knows what's going on, and he's ready to confront these people. So we'll see what happens tomorrow as we finish up chapter 32.